In the year 1900, the British Empire controlled nearly 25% of the world. Its navy ruled the oceans. Its currency dominated global trade. Its cities were the center of global finance. Most people believed something very simple: the British Empire would rule forever. But just a few decades later, Britain was no longer the world's dominant power. But today, the global superpower is America. And a new giant is rising fast: China. So the question is not just why countries become rich. The real question is something far bigger. Why do powerful nations eventually decline, and why do new powers rise to replace them? To understand this pattern, we need to follow the story of one ordinary American. Michael grew up in Detroit, Michigan. In the 1970s, his father worked at an automobile factory. Life was stable. Factories were everywhere. America was the industrial powerhouse of the world. Cars, steel, technology. Everything seemed unstoppable. Michael remembers his father telling him something: America will always be the richest country in the world. At that time, it felt true. The United States had the strongest economy, the strongest military, and the most powerful currency. But over the next few decades, Mikhail started noticing something strange. Factories began shutting down. Manufacturing jobs moved overseas. Debt started rising. New countries began growing incredibly fast. Something bigger was happening. Something that had happened many times before in history. History shows that powerful nations follow a cycle. First comes innovation and growth. A country develops strong education, new technologies, and productive workers. Businesses grow. Trade expands. Wealth increases. Then comes global dominance. The country's currency becomes trusted worldwide. Its military becomes powerful. Other nations depend on its economy. But eventually, a dangerous phase begins. Debt increases. Political conflicts grow. Wealth inequality rises. And slowly, the system becomes unstable. Finally, another nation begins rising, and the cycle starts again. This pattern has repeated for centuries. In the 1600s, the most powerful country in the world was not Britain. It was the Netherlands. The Dutch created one of the first global trading empires, invented modern financial systems. They built the first major stock market. Their ships dominated international trade. Amsterdam became the financial center of the world. But over time, the Dutch accumulated large debts. Military conflicts drained their resources. Another country began growing stronger: Britain. Within a century, Britain replaced the Dutch as the global superpower. The cycle had repeated. Britain then entered its golden age. The Industrial Revolution began there. Factories exploded, railways expanded, global trade surged. The British pound became the most powerful currency on earth. London became the financial capital of the world. But the same pattern slowly appeared. Wars became expensive. Debt increased. Economic competition grew, and eventually, another rising power began to challenge Britain: the United States. After World War II, the United States became the dominant global power. Its economy produced nearly half of the world's industrial output. The US dollar became the global reserve currency. American companies led innovation. Technology exploded. Hollywood, Silicon Valley, Wall Street. America shaped the modern global economy. Michael, the man from Detroit, lived during this golden era. But by the early 2000s, economists started noticing warning signs: government debt rising, political polarization growing, and new economic giants emerging, especially China. 40 years ago, China was one of the poorest countries in the world. But after major economic reforms, the country experienced one of the fastest economic expansions in history. Factories multiplied. Cities exploded with development. Hundreds of millions of people escaped poverty. China became the manufacturing center of the world. And today, many experts believe the world may be entering another major shift in global power. Just like the Dutch were replaced by Britain, Britain was replaced by America. The cycle may be moving again. So the most important lesson is not about which country wins. It is about understanding the pattern. Nations rise when they invest in education innovation, strong institutions, economic productivity. But they decline when they become trapped in debt. Internal conflict, wealth inequality, loss of competitiveness. The rise and fall of nations is not random. It follows a cycle that is repeated throughout history. And understanding this cycle helps us understand the future of the global economy. The ideas explored in this video come from a fascinating book about the rise and fall of world powers. The book is called Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. If you want to deeply understand how global empires rise and fall, I highly recommend reading it. You'll find the purchase link in the description. And if you want more powerful stories about money, power, and the global economy, subscribe to the channel, because the future of the world economy is already being written today.